Thought we would talk a little bit about hospitality, and a lot of people are going away at the moment, choosing where to book, looking at all of their options, where they should travel to and where they should stay. But we thought we'd talk a little bit about some of the regulation that was coming in the EU and who that affects.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to actually do a little bit of a takeover on this podcast episode, which is very exciting, and put you to the test a little bit. And the largest number of businesses that we work with are hotels and hospitality brands, which has been really exciting. And you know, some of those brands we've been working with for the entire journey, sort of 5-year relationships, which is incredible. And we've also got some fantastic partnerships in that space. So we work with other partners who are doing sort of similar work to us in the area that really help us to amplify what we do. And a particularly exciting partnership that we have is with a company called Travelist that enables us to link our FuturePlus Impact Certified accreditation with sustainability initiatives through websites like booking.com, Expedia, etc. So I guess it'd be great if you could explain a little bit about that process for people that don't know, and perhaps expand on how that works and how you would go through that process if you're interested as a hospitality brand.
All of the sort of major booking websites, booking.com, Google, Booking, Expedia, etc., as people may have seen, now have sustainability markings on them, or sustainability labels to say whether or not a hotel is or isn't. And they have been working with Travelist, which sort of sits like an industry guardian, is probably not how they would describe themselves, I don't think. And, they can correct us if I'm wrong, but they're really working across the industry. It's an organisation that was started by Prince Harry, actually, which many people may or may not know. And essentially they work as an industry guardian, making sure that data is shared within the industry and that there is comprehensive and cohesion across what's doing. So we work with them as well as a variety of other sort of sustainability labels and certifications. And they have relationships with all of the major booking platforms. And what it allows is, with the incoming regulation, which I think we're going to go into a little bit more, is for hospitality business, hotels, etc., to be able to say whether or not they are sustainable. Which means when you're booking, you can preference the kind of place that you want to go. Or if you're going, you can understand, if you've got to stay somewhere, you can understand what it is that they are or aren't doing. The only way to get that moving into the future is through working with a sustainability label like FuturePlus for a hospitality brand, in order to have the data verified, evidenced, etc. So you can't just say that you're sustainable. You've got to be able to prove that you're sustainable moving into the future. And all of the evidence that seems to be out there, I think some of it is a little bit hard to get. But sort of booking.com, I think, did a survey a little while ago, and sort of 70 to 80% of people look for it. How that affects bookings is really hard to tell. But people are actively looking to find hotels that have the ability to display whether or not they have sustainability actions happening.
And that 70 to 80% feels like a really high number, but if that's what the data is showing, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to know how that then flips into how many of those book because of it. And that's really hard data to get, as you can imagine. It's a lot of information. But the fact that people are even sort of swayed or want to find out that level of information about a site definitely means that there is interest there. And I think that matches up with the fact that hospitality is one of the largest areas that they work with. There's a real sort of direct relationship in hospitality between what you do and the people that you're working with. You're face to face. It's the most tangible, visible area that you see a business working in sustainability, I think. And it's often a lot of people's sort of first sort of real light bulb moments when you see plastic bottles or lack of recycling or food waste and things like that. There's a real sort of visual keys when you're staying in hospitality. And I think that's why they're quite often trying to push the boundaries.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, it's not just B2C that kind of matters in this conversation, but I had a call with a company this week who were asking me about this process and about the certification. And the trigger for them was that a major national broadcaster had used one of their properties to book 50 rooms for something that they were filming. And they came and they had a lovely stay and they went away again. And then a few weeks later, this company got a call from that broadcaster saying, actually, I just need to tick the "we've stayed in a sustainable property" box. Could you send me your credentials? And they didn't have anything to share. So that kind of triggered a phone call to us to discuss. So, we always talk about the work that we do being sort of split between really wanting to address impact for impact's sake, and that's amazing. But there's also that commercial element to it as well, and that's a really good example. Now, this particular company also was very interested in actually understanding what impact meant for them, and that was a genuine conversation. But the trigger was the commercial.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got independent travellers that are definitely going to want to have a lilt towards it. But I think like corporate bookings, what's known as MICE, so meetings, incentives, conferences and events. I think that's the I of MICE. You are starting to go into supply chains of major organisations that still have the same expectations that they have on any supplier. And it is very much moving now from, are you sustainable, to what is the proof that you are doing these actions?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, my sort of next question was, why can't you just ask AI to write you a sustainability policy and off you go?
I mean, maybe as a first draft if you're lucky, but do not rely on it, because you have to be doing what it is that you've said that you want to be doing, and you do not want AI to tell you what you are going to be doing as a business. We've been going over this for so many times, but you need to use a sustainability lens across your business strategy, and in fact, effectively, what you want your sustainability strategy or sustainability policy to be is a reflection of that, not the other way around. Otherwise, the tail is definitely wagging the dog. And the requirement around evidence and being able to prove what you're saying is massively increasing at the moment through the Advertising Standards Agency, through the Competition Marketing Authority in the UK, through a variety of other organisations, but also in the EU. And not just if you're in the EU, but also if you want to market to the EU.
Yes.
And to EU travellers and businesses that are going to be making those corporate bookings.
Yeah, which brings us beautifully onto the second part of this conversation, which is around the EU empowering consumers for the green transition directive. I've had to consult my notes there because it's a mouthful. But this comes into effect on the 27th of September of this year, so it's really, really soon. Can you break down what this legislation means for the way hospitality businesses need to communicate their sustainability efforts?
Effectively, what the regulation or the directive is asking is that you cannot just say that you are sustainable anymore, and you can't make vague claims. You can't use green or sustainable language without proof, and you cannot be acting as a sustainability label or as a sustainability certification unless there's an additional layer of verification that sits on top. Which all sounds very complicated. But essentially, if you yourself are a hotel brand, what I would say, or a hotel organisation, hospitality organisation, you need to be able to, anything that you say, you have to credibly prove, and you've got to be able to provide the evidence for what that looks like. If you choose to use a sustainability label, what you have to make sure is that that label has checked and verified what that you are doing, but also that they are third-party accredited. So it was sort of extending the chain, essentially. So when a client of ours who's a hospitality company goes through the assessment, they provide us evidence, we check that. We've evolved how we check that so that it's in line with the new regulation. A variety of different things around governance, transparency, the policies that we have around it, who does it, how they do it. But probably the biggest part of it is we then also get checked by a third-party auditor. So they check our governance, our methodologies, and then do a sample check on the organisations as well that we are working with to make sure that what we have agreed is correct and meets the evidence standard, that they agree that as well. So there's quite a considerable amount more robustness that exists around what it is. It's definitely going in the right direction. I think there's going to be a few people that feel a bit of pain as we go through the early stages of this, because it's quite a lot. But essentially, what it's trying to do is the right thing. You can't just say you are something. You have to be able to prove it. And that's what the bottom line comes down to.
Yeah. So, it's really, if you're using terms like sustainable or eco-friendly or green for your hotel or your property.
Carbon neutral.
Yeah, anything like that. And I think, some hotels might be doing, really good things like eliminating single-use plastic or having energy efficient lighting or something like that, and kind of then just peg themselves on the eco-friendly hook, which is not necessarily wrong, but this directive is really going to make that more difficult and does need attention and quite quickly, because September is just around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes for any business at the moment. You should be auditing the language that you use, and you should be able to stand behind it. And this piece of directive isn't just for hotels and hospitality. This is for any business in any sector. It just so happens to, I think, because of the way sustainability labels, I think it's really worth highlighting and amplifying to the hospitality industry. Because of their frequent use of sustainability labels and how it's such an important marketing technique in a lot of the communications that they're putting out.
And also a lot of most hotels are marketing themselves to the EU no matter where they are, right? A hotel in New York or Dubai or the UK is going to be marketing itself in the EU, which is potentially different from the way other businesses work. So I think that's why, particularly in reference to hospitality, it's kind of quite interesting and quite urgent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose it's that thing, how is it all going to happen? And, for independent travellers, there's going to be a bit of a transition or in their expectations when they're booking somewhere. But the people that are going to be quicker on it are your corporate bookings, your MICE, because they are going to need to be able to know that what they're booking is correct and that it's okay. So I think those sort of groups are definitely going to be on this much faster than maybe independent travellers. But it is good and correct that the businesses get ready for this, particularly hospitality businesses, wherever they are, if they're marketing into the EU.
Thank you so much, Alex. It's been great to be the one in the interviewer's chair this week. Thank you for all your insightful answers. If you'd like to find out more about the work we do at FuturePlus to help you with your sustainability certifications for booking websites, or in fact any help that you need with the EU directive that's incoming, you can find out how to contact us on our website.